Welcome, everybody, to this week's Take Charge of Our Life discussion, where we talk about how to live healthy, live empowered, and live free, our version of mind, body, and soul wellness. I'm Tish Taylor from Growth Centric Living. I'm a mindset trainer and a personal transformation guide, and this is my co host, Roberta.
Hey, welcome, everyone. I am a holistic health practitioner and a personal transformation specialist, and we are thrilled to just collaborate together and bring you, transformation for mind, body, and soul. Because without that holistic transformation, we're left with missing, uh, transformation in our lives that will bring us to that ultimate life that we want. And so it's just a privilege and an honor to be here with you and to share this content with you.
Roberta and I are both elite mentorship trainers. We trained under our mentor, Peter Sage. And for those of you that may not be familiar with his work, he is a renowned human behavior specialist. He's an expert in self-mastery. He's got a bunch of TED Talks and has spoken in over 63 countries, really dedicated his life to human transformation and lifting people up. So our plan here for our discussion is to show you a clip of his, and then we're going to break it down for you and discuss it into our format, which is to give you 3 tips for the day on how to live healthy, live empowered, live free.
Yes, and so the reel that we're going to share, excuse me, is Peter's 60-second video called "The Ant and the Elephant." Let me share that with you.
Have you ever felt that personal growth is like taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back? Making more money is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Why is that? It's not because we're not smart or clever or the lack of opportunity. It's because most people don't understand the relationship between their conscious and unconscious mind. So picture this. Imagine your conscious mind, which you are telling what to do with your affirmations, visualizations, your money-making ideas and opportunities, is like an ant, industrious, intelligent, hardworking, directional. And that's walking north towards your goals. But it's walking over the back of a very large elephant, your unconscious programming, your limiting beliefs, your poor self-image, your parents' relationship to money you picked up on, that is marching south. And no amount of you marching forward, telling yourself that you deserve something, is going to change that. Learning how to reprogram your elephant is the ultimate key to learning how to master your relationship with everything.
So to kind of reiterate that, so the elephant that Peter's talking to about is your subconscious. This is your environment. This is your programming. And, it was a scary fact for me to learn that this is really like 95% of why you do what you do. This is, the part of you that has no rational thought or judgment. It is the doer. It is on and always on. Versus your ant, which is our conscious mind, which only runs about 50% or 5% of our thoughts and actions, because this is the part that it's the decision maker in our mind. It's the one that wants to do better. It's the one that wants to grow. And I love Peter's analogy of your conscious mind being the ant on this back of an elephant. So our goal is to make sure that both of those are going in the same direction, so that you aren't spending all of this conscious effort trying to change, but meanwhile you're on the back of an elephant that is going in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I think the best way for me to sum that up in my understanding is that, from my experience I spent decades trying to change, my world, I guess, and the way I showed up. And so much of it was trying to use that 5% of conscious awareness to change that subconscious programming, but wasn't aware that there was 2 distinctions. And so there was always a lot of subconscious programming running in the background, and just frustrated thinking, man, I've done so many things, how am I still not overcoming in these areas, and not realizing there was something else that I needed to look at. And that really is that long-term programming and awareness of the subconscious mind and how it works, and putting in new programs. But there's certain keys and ways to do that. It's not just, I'll just learn different things with my frontal brain and then I'll be different. There is a different, like a path and a way to do that, but it's not just something that happens naturally. We have to really be mindful and focus on that.
Yeah, I agree. This was a game changer for me as well when I kind of figured out like because it's frustrating. You keep trying, you keep making these decisions, you keep setting these goals, and then like Peter says, 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. You're just like, I don't understand why this is not working.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and it's very interesting that one of the quotes I've heard or comments is that our subconscious runs our life. And I really think that is so true. We can have all the good intentions that we can muster, but without reprogramming that dominant part of our being, those limiting beliefs, those ideas that were kind of given to us through our life and through the experiences and the people we've been under the care of as children. We have certain beliefs and things that are just really lodged in our way of being, and they automatically show up in our life, whether we consciously think they shouldn't or not. They're still running the show.
Yeah, that leads us really well into our like first section here, which is mindset in being empowered. And you make a good point there, Roberta, in just like alluding to the fact that we're always soaking things up. So from the time we were born, our subconscious is paying attention. It is soaking up whatever images is coming through our conscious mind, whatever we see, whatever media we're taking in, whatever we're thinking to ourselves or somebody else has said to us over and over and over again, our subconscious basically just soaks that up as if everything is fact and just kind of creates that for us in our world and runs a programming that will make our what it thinks we want, basically what we've been programmed to do, just be our habits. Basically, it is what creates what we become
Yeah, and I
until
think,
we
oh, go ahead. The point that you made
oh,
about at one point, no rational thought is in that, subconscious programming, and it believes everything we tell it. So it's, whatever we program into it, it will believe. So that's actually the good news too, because we can reprogram it and put in the beliefs and the values and the things that we want, and it will give us then that output in our lives, and it'll lead us down that path in that direction. So that's really empowering to know that it's not just running the show, only if we aren't aware of it and we're not doing something to change it.
yeah, so a good example of that is something like watching the news over and over again, where you get this like message of, fear and be careful and it's dangerous and watch out for this. And we're kind of creating this like stress within our body where that's the message our subconscious gets is like, watch out. Everything's, coming for us. Be afraid, be cautious. And we can't help it, it just keeps coming in with those messages. So even after if you watch the news and they're like, oh, that's fine, consciously you have one thought of, you know what, I don't really think that, but your subconscious has been programmed, it has taken all of this in for the last 45 minutes or however long you were kind of listening or watching this program, and it's in our music, all of these messages just constantly programming our elephant for us.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, to think that whatever we're listening to isn't affecting us. When I was growing up, my mom would watch soap operas, and she wouldn't want us to watch them, but she'd say, "Oh, I'm older. That stuff doesn't, affect me or bother me. Like, but I don't want you kids to see it." And I remember thinking about that even then. I was like, it didn't quite make sense to me, but we had to obey our parents. But how we think that yeah, we can hear stuff and it's not going to impact us, but the mind is always being programmed and listening, whether we are aware of it or not.
Hmm. This has definitely really affected my parenting in how I listen to, like what I'm listening to, the music that's on, that's the shows that I'm willing to watch now. All of a sudden, I am very against any kind of those negative messages, those kinds of things. And the kids sort of make fun of me. Oh, mom, you're always looking for like love stuff. And I was like, these are the things I want. I don't want to listen to, how, I whatever, got drunk on whatever, somebody else is, being mean to somebody else. I don't want that in my life anymore. And this, makes a lot more sense and kind of, I can see the programming of, a lot higher positive, more positive of an outlook
Mhm.
than before when I was having different sort of inputs.
Yeah, and it's really kind of scary in our culture because our children, everyone is being constantly programmed from something on all the time, some screen somewhere at all times. And really it's it's really like propaganda to our psyche. It's getting conditioned and programmed, and Facebook, social media for young people, it's very traumatic and dramatic sometimes. And so it's definitely worth putting in the effort and the awareness to manage what's coming into our being. It's a big deal.
One quote you can catch me saying in my house is that your subconscious is always listening. So, this like, I just like the beat, mom, or just whatever. Okay, but just be aware, right? You're programming yourself. So make sure there's more of what you actually want. Consciously decide. And that's really our, I think, tip here under mindset is about how it works both ways. So if you are just hearing this for the first time about how, we do have this elephant, it's been growing our entire lives based on everything that it's been fed, and it is heading in a direction. And now you consciously would like to make some changes. You want to, improve some things and create new habits, come along with us in this growth journey that we're inviting you on. Then you can choose what kind of influences you have. You can start listening to more positive messages about what you are looking for more of your life, like discussions like ours or other books, etc., that you can start reprogramming that ant or the elephant by what you choose to think about consciously as the ant.
Right. And I think that taking charge of our life is taking charge of our programming, because that's going to define more than anything how our life shows up, how our movie is written, what kind of legacy we leave. So it is really critical and important if we want to be in charge of our life and not let outside forces determine what our life is like and what our future is and what we leave as a legacy. It's important to want to take charge of our programming. I love that energy of taking charge in any area of my life, because I'm not going to leave it just for kind of default, let everything happen the way it happens and I'm just a victim of it. That's just not an option anymore. I lived that too many years.
Agreed, 100% agreed.
Mm-hmm. So that leads us into our second section, which is the live healthy and thinking of the physical body too, and how it's impacted by the subconscious programming. So we talk about what a term called cell inertia, which is the programming in the body that creates a biochemical response. So excuse me, the body keeps the score. So whatever it's learned over time, it's going to keep doing. It's just going to be programmed to respond a certain way. So it creates habits biochemically. So if I get anxious about something, every time that something comes up, my body's going to feel anxious. It's going to release certain, chemicals, and it's going to put me into a state of anxiety or fear energetically, which, I lived with most of my entire life. I was anxious almost all the time. And so it was just knowing that our body is just responding to what it's been taught, and that we have to really intercept that pattern also in a physiological way to break that pattern, so that we're not just running on autopilot and just saying, oh, I'm so anxious all the time. That's just how I am. But no, I don't have to be anxious. And anxiety is not a normal state. It's not a way to live and be, to enjoy life. To be in anxiety is very crippling. I think some of the concepts of, things to do the pattern interrupt that we had talked about before we recorded this is just like changing our food, because food actually creates anxiety and stress in the body, because it's inflaming the body, or it's raising the blood sugar, or it's causing a cortisol release in the body. So there's so many things that we're doing physically that can impact our cell inertia and how we show up in life and how we feel. So there's so many ways that we want to change it. And maybe you have some ideas too there, Tish, on how to change the pattern of the body and to put it into a new direction.
Yeah, our subconscious really operates our body, right? Like it's the reason why we keep breathing. It's the reason why our heart keeps going. It just automatically, intuitively knows what's supposed to do. So I think what you're saying there is really important for people to understand, in that what we're feeding ourselves is our body's automatically sort of creating these patterns around that, and it'll just keep doing that. It doesn't know that sugar is bad for us. It just knows what to do when sugar shows up. So it has developed kind of this pattern of going. So, like you're saying, we need to learn to be aware of these patterns and then interrupt them, kind of shock our systems a little bit to say, hey, no, this isn't the pattern we want. We want to move in this direction when we're talking physically. So, changing our diet. I think even going like for an exercise, sometimes all of a sudden, getting up, running, moving your body in any kind of way can sort of really interrupt those patterns once we become aware of, wait a minute, I'm already doing this.
Mhm. Yeah, and I guess our mentor, Peter Sage, we talked about that and laughed a little about, he does ice baths and has done it for a long, long time. And for you brave souls out there that can do that, super healthy really for the body to create that, impact on the system. It's a form of discipline and actually training the body in a very healthy pattern because it brings blood flow to the surface and it's just very healing, in so many ways. So, oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Tish.
I was just gonna say, have you tried that before? I have only tried like cold showers for like a few seconds, and I I maybe have gotten up to like a minute, which I have heard actually that women's bodies don't need as cold as men to kind of have the same benefits. I haven't done any research into that, but that is something that I have heard. And so it's interesting, just that like exuberating feeling of doing something different than continuously having this really hot and warm bath that, or, shower that I've been used to my whole life. And then ending it with just that little like cold touch, suddenly just like, whoo, just wakes my entire body up, which is a very cool feeling. And then you can tell you're like more awake, you're ready to sort of go. I feel like in that moment, I could choose exactly which path. The elephant is 100% at my, in my control at that moment. It's like, okay, wait, where are we going?
Yeah, that's really true. Peter mentioned that too, that it sets us up for the day and we make a definitive decision that we're in charge of our, the decisions we're going to make and things. It really is a very empowering feeling other than just going through the same motions every single day, kind of in a half, not really awake kind of way, not really conscious about it. I love that. I know I haven't done any ice baths. Cold showers is, just that little bit is really challenging for myself. But I just find other ways to do pattern interrupts. And I've had to do a ton of it really because my experience with that, or my example is, being in depression for decades. And it was just part of who I was, and if you go to the doctor, they'll say you have clinical depression. So then now I'm attached to something like we talked in earlier discussions that we're attached to an identity around it. So I have depression means that it just gets to show up and take over because, I just have it and there's nothing I can do about it. That was the message that I was given. And so I've had to do a lot of reprogramming and choices and inner pattern interrupts to decide that I have that ability to shift that pattern. It's been a challenge. And that's where I got into my holistic nutrition work because I needed that physical piece to intercept the pattern of my brain being super tired and just defaulting into depression and being very, just submitting to what was happening in the world. So there's a lot to it, but definitely there's a way to shift any of that so that we're not aligning with that identity and just, letting it be who we are.
Thank you for that share.
So that was really just our tip for that section, was the breaking the cell inertia and creating a pattern interrupt, conditioning the body over time to a different response. And, that's not what we have to do in any area of life if we want change, right? We have to do something different than we have been doing if we want to have a different outcome. And it can be a gentle and methodical process, but, we might as well walk. I always say, choose a direction of travel that's going to get you to the end result that you want, rather than just defaulting in a path that you don't want. And, it takes kind of the same amount of effort and energy, but one leads to a life you really want and the other one doesn't.
Yeah, we're being programmed either way, and we sort of just talked about that in both kind of our mindset as well as within our physical body, which leads us nicely into our last section, which is the soul. In combining those two together, that like Roberta said, we're always programming. Our elephant is always on, our subconscious is always being programmed. So why not choose how we want it to be programmed? Why not make that 95% of us that's on autopilot most of the time go in the direction we want to go in? That is, makes life a little bit easier, instead of those frustrating examples like we were just talking about how you want change and you just don't understand why it's not coming. How nice would it be if, so many of us have that example of driving where, you're driving to work and you've driven there 100 times. So then, all of a sudden one day you're like, oh, I'm here. And you can't quite remember consciously how you got from one point to the other. Your body, you just knew, right? That's your subconscious. How nice would that be if we just arrived at our goals? If we just became the, who we wanted to be in our dream life one day, we just woke up and was like, hey, wait, I'm here. I've arrived. I am where, I want to be, where I've been trying to go. That's, really encompassing all of what we're talking about here. That's the possible outcome, the possibility that you can have.
Yeah, I think, like you said, perfectly said, living free is choosing, the life that we want, and breaking it down into these different concepts and principles gives us so much more insight and awareness rather than just a generic, well, I want to change my life and I should do, something different. Giving these very definitive directions that we have in our discussions is just making us aware, or bringing us to the awareness that it's possible, and there's steps, and there's a process to doing that. So it's really exciting, because we don't know what we don't know. And if we just default to, well, kind of like I didn't know how to heal myself before I found my nutrition therapy work, it was just like, and there was so much information, and I had so many thoughts and ideas, and I researched all the time, but I really didn't know how to ultimately heal my body to optimal functioning. So I was always kind of on the back foot, trying a few different things. But when we really make a decision to say, I'm going to grab onto something that works and walk in that direction, the change is massive, and it's much quicker than we can imagine. I think, I spent decades trying to get better, but now I found solutions that make it, like that quantum leap that we've talked about, where we can move forward in our progression, in our transformation much quicker than ever possible today, with the technology and with the constant awareness we have around all these different principles and concepts. We just have such a prime opportunity in life, something my parents didn't have, to really change their direction of travel and leave a different legacy. And, for me, it's been a mission of breaking that generational dysfunction has been a real focus and a priority. And so I'm really passionate about that. That's the legacy that I want to leave. So that's what inspires me to keep going on this journey.
Awesome. I think, you know, for all of us, that's one of our like big human kind of desires, right? Is to, leave something behind, leaving this place a little bit better than what it was when we sort of got here a little bit. So that's definitely something that drives me. We kind of align on that in, just improving on what I grew up with, so that, the next generations have that little bit more to improve on, and keep sharing this knowledge that we have been given. And it's very cool, the journey too. I just want to point out, in as you start to recognize, your thought process changing, or some of that automatic responses changing, even in my thoughts now, like we have talked previously about, not taking parenting personally when your kids are misbehaving and those kinds of things. And now, I'm like, oh, like I even start to recognize, oh, wait, okay, before I would have done this, and now I'm noticing I'm doing this. So yes, you know what I mean? I'm reprogramming, it's working. And what an exciting moment that is throughout your growth, as you start to notice those messages, those confirmations, really, I guess, about the work that you're doing and the growth that you're making.
Yeah, to think that we can minimize the impact of negative impact or hurt, that we naturally as humans, impose on each other, just because we're showing up as human beings. We don't have it perfect. We're trying to work things out, but the more empowered we become, the more aware, the more higher consciousness we become, higher awareness, we're going to, make better decisions that are going to leave less of a negative impact on everybody around us, including ourselves. So really it's really worth the journey, for sure.
So I think that leads us to our last tip, in a reminder that everything you're intaking is programmed in your elephant. Your elephant is the GPS to your life. It's the computer that is trying to guess where you're trying to go, and it really is the momentum of where you want to go. So in order to reorient the compass needle to try to align your elephant, your subconscious, with your ant, the conscious mind, our last tip kind of encompasses all three. This is really talking about, your input. How are you programming yourself? So some ways to better program yourself is to find some ways to cut out like negative media, find some more positive input that you're regularly listening to, watching on TV, those kinds of things, monitoring your self-talk. Don't, apologize for what's happening. Tell yourself that you're on the path. Recognize the good things that are happening. Recognize your progress. and then upgrading your overall environment. Like, who are you talking to? What is your regular input? How are you programming your subconscious? Really being aware of that and consciously choosing the direction that you want your life to go in.
Yeah, and I think we have a quote, or I think you have a quote for us this morning.
I do. This one is from the Buddha. It says, "We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts, or um, and with our thoughts, we make our world."
Yeah, it's powerful. Yes, and as I'm listening and thinking about our contribution today, I'm thinking about, walking the journey of transformation and how what a privilege it is to help people and ourselves included as we keep on this journey of growth and expansion to come to that better life. So many people are floundering in life and living a quiet life of desperation, as Peter refers to it as. And that really resonated with me, that just surviving life really, and every day just running towards something and having high anxiety. And no matter what I accomplished, it was never enough. So just that relentless feeling of getting through life and never feeling quite enough. I mean, it's just not a way to live. There's just such a better way. And we love that opportunity to interact with people and really what our program, our experience of personal transformation that we offer is just becoming aligned with us as trainers and other people that are in this community and in this work, and making that our focus and passion, and so that we can share that with you and that you can come on board and choose that other path for your life and really enjoy this journey. And it's fascinating and it's scientific and it's just brilliant, the work that Peter Sage created. And we would just love to invite you to, to reach out to us and find that connection and help give us the opportunity really to just share with you, what's possible for you and really find a fit that would change your life in a dramatic way.
Yeah. In the most heartfelt way, we're really creating that community that both, I definitely was looking for, and that hopefully others are as well, in creating this environment, in programming each other together, so that you have a space to go that is having these discussions and helping you achieve what you're looking for.
Yeah, really without this, what we have referred to in our previous discussions as engaged neural programming, consistently implementing this programming that we're talking about over time. If we don't do that, that elephant, that initial program conditioning just continues to pull us in that same direction. And we can't just dabble or just try a little bit here and there to change, but we really need to take it serious. And that's the people that that we know are aligned with our work, are those that are wanting to really make that change. And it's actually fun. It's like taking a plunge in something that is exhilarating and fun. It's not like scary and long and arduous and, kind of like not fun. It's just very, very brilliant and dynamic. Once we jump in, it's compelling and people are just leaning in and feeling very, like, wow, why didn't I do this sooner? I wish I'd have found this sooner. So it's really that kind of adventure, not an arduous one at all. It's really like a very freeing one and just wakes us up to so much possibility. So yeah, we'd love to have you reach out and connect on our booking links and have that conversation with us.
Excellent. Well, I think that ends our call today. As always, we appreciate you. Any kind of feedback that you'd like to give us, and we'll see you on the next discussion.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.